Hello and welcome to part one of either 2 or 3 of this expanded edition of stuff I made, focusing on this drawer system and eventually the thing that goes in front of the drawer system to make it a sleeping platform for overlanding, overnight camping in the Xterra. So this one's been requested, and I'm going to try to give you the best description I have of how it currently stands. Overall, this was something that was designed piece by piece with an overall goal in mind, but we tweaked a lot of these measurements day of build. So I've measured what it currently stands at today. I don't want you to take these as super final. I encourage you to make a little bit of adjustments as you see fit. So I just drew all this out on my paper and I'm going to upload these photos super crystal clear so you can follow through. But let's start with the bottom frame. I built this from the bottom up and I'll show you what I mean. So at the bottom we have a nice hollow frame. You can see that the storage compartment for the Xterra is still exposed, and you have a square or rectangle, it's not a complete square, with 1x3s. I chose 1x3s just because I thought it made sense. You can easily go 1x4s, especially on the sides here, but the 1x3 works really well back there. 1x4 could work here. Anything can work on this backside. So the final dimensions of that were 34 front to back and 33 3/4 side to side. So the next pieces you want to cut are the sides and center support. So here's your center support. It's the support that's going top to bottom in the middle of your drawer system. The middle support, it's going to have a drawer slide on this side and a drawer slide on this side, whereas the sides are just going to have a drawer slide on the inside of the sides and not this side. So the sides are all made out of 1x10. I chose 1x10 just because I thought it would be about the right height, and I do think it is about the right height. So 1x10 is this piece, and this piece, and they're all 34 inches long on the bottom to match the length of the sides, and 9 1/4 height because that's the standard 1x10 size. And the top measurement is 30 3/4. So that is because the center seats of the Xterra are angled. So you're trying to match that angle as closely as possible. So 30 3/4 is a good measurement. You could actually go 31. But this is how it stands today, and it works pretty well. The next piece we're going to talk about is that top frame. It's very similar to the bottom frame, is that it's hollow in the middle to expose this area, and that's about where it ends. It's not all 1x3s, or actually a composition of 1x3s, 1x4s, and 1x2s. So this front piece, I did a 1x3. I think that's the right call. These sides, I did a 1x2. These could probably be a 1x3. And the back, where the hinges you'll see that are mounted, I made that a 1x4 because I wanted more surface area and more structure to mount the hinges, and that was also the right call. So sides are 1x2s is built. You could go up to a 1x3. 1x3 here, I think that's the right call. And then a 1x4 where the hinges mount that side. To piece this together, you'll note you'll have to build, Legos or wooden Legos to mount these two. This is just a 1x2 support. If you switch this to a 1x3, make this a 1x3 too. So for the top, let me flip around to this and let it drop down so we can see it a little better. It's just a piece of plywood. So I'll put the picture up in a second, but it's just a piece of plywood attached with hinges to that 1x4 and a circular hole drilled here so you can easily pick it up. Note, I think you should put the hole near the big drawer, because when the big drawer slides in, you actually feel its side supports through the hole and you could smash your finger. So that's one thing I would change. Move this more over the big drawer so you don't hurt yourself. So the last piece of this is the actual drawers. We'll start with the big drawer. It's on 32-inch heavy-duty slides. I think it's rated for 150 pounds. And we wanted to make this big enough to fit a 2-burner stove flush and that's exactly what it fits. It actually has plenty of room on the Coleman Classic 2-burner stove, and I would recommend this. So this side is an 8-inch 1x10, so it's cut height-wise to 8 inches. That's because at the bottom we used a plywood sheet to be the bottom of this drawer. We just couldn't find cheap enough wood to span, I believe it's 16.5 inches wide, this plywood sheet. So you can't drill into plywood, you have to drill through plywood, and that's why this is 8 inches, and you'll see on the other drawer it's actually 8.5. So this is a 16.5 inch sheet of plywood this way, and 34 inches long to match the other dimensions. 8-inch by 34, and then the top is the same at 30 3/4. Within here you have the 90-degree aluminum recessed in, so you can put your cutting board on top. Cutting board is a 14.5 inch wide cutting board I got off Amazon. Links below. And slides are 32-inch heavy-duty slides. Links below. And it's a really functional drawer. We were camping the other weekend. We put our Coleman 2-burner stove back here. We were able to chop vegetables and serve right here. And this was another prep station. So that is the big drawer, and we're going to move on to the small one. And then finally, the small drawer. We call it the small drawer because it has the smallest size, but it actually extends a lot further when you pull out this tongue, serving area, or whatever you want to call it. But the basic premise is we wanted a double extended drawer, 2 sets of 24-inch slides, so that this could be a storage area not quite as deep, and then we'd also have this extra serving surface for anything really. Just, you know, you can set your drinks on here and it's really nice. You can also keep this one locked in, and it's still a good serving area. So I like this drawer a lot too. Very similar to the previous one. These sides are the same dimensions, 34 inches long. We're actually adding half an inch to the height of these sides because we're not mounting plywood at the bottom. Another key consideration for this drawer is this piece, the bottom of the drawer, is a 1x12. So that was a driving measurement for this design. This is a 1x12 by 34, so I think the actual dimensions are 11 1/4 inches wide by 34. We picked that because that was the widest piece of wood we could get at a decent price, and it actually worked really well because the other drawer was designed off that dimension, and it fits a 2-burner stove very nicely. So this small drawer, the official dimensions are 34 inches by 8.5 inches tall, and these 1x10s that run the length of the drawer. The bottom section is a 1x12 piece by 26 inches, but we had to cut that down to 10 1/4 inches wide. The bottom support of the actual cargo containing of the drawer is a 1x12, so that's 11 1/4 by 34. These front pieces, they're set of 1x10, 6 inches tall, and 11 1/4 wide. So this should give you a good overview of the measurements of this. I'm posting all the links and pictures below. Check it out. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll hopefully provide some clarifications in the comments. For mounting this to the Xterra has these nice channels that you can mount stuff to. So below this I used a spring nut and just a couple washers and an L bracket to mount these two. So this is I think it's 11, some kind of metric bolt, but it fits an 11 millimeter socket. This is a cool piece of hardware that I think I found in the plumbing section that just allowed me to get a little more surface area into the wood on the side. And then as far as the clearance, it's pretty minimal, but definitely enough to work with. I'd say it's about a 1/2 inch based on these dimensions, and that's all you need. You know, it doesn't touch, it doesn't rattle against these seats when they're up. And when you remove your cargo cover, that cover the Xterra comes with stock, it actually hinges right here, and based on this design, this whole build will fit inside of those hinges for the original stock cover. So you shouldn't need to cut them. And the final part of this video is just consider how you're making this. You want to use wood glue, you want to finish your wood with a good outdoor paint, and you want to pilot drill a lot of these holes. You're drilling a lot of this stuff to connect it into 1x10s. So make sure you're using quality wood, pilot drills, and quality screws. So finish it with a good paint and it should serve you well. It served me well. We've taken it on a couple camping adventures. Absolutely no structural problems. It is about the right height. I don't think I would go up or down on the height because it's a good combination of clearance and comfortability sleeping, along with storage and getting a lot of stuff packed in here. So let me know what you liked. Let me know if you build this, what you did differently, and any mods you do, because making this car pretty fun car. Hope you do too. Like and subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2.